Hello, everyone. All right. This is Jules. This is my art bender. We are doing loose watercolor landscapes today live. We're doing a live demo. It's going to be fantastic. I I was told that people wanted to explore these landscapes a little bit more that we did in week 6. So I want you guys to start gathering your watercolors, some paintbrushes, whatever sizes you want. I like these fluffy squirrel hairs. I like these long flats, and I love a number 4 round. I've also got some rags, water, washi tape, some gold pens, gold and silver pen. Oops. Oh my gosh. Okay, the pup wanted out. The pup wants in, the pup wants out. It's what happens. Okay, here we go. All right. Okay, so I have dug deep within my things and I've found some different watercolor papers that we can use. I know our art journal is such that it only has 110-pound um, multimedia paper in it. And so it's not the best for watercolors. So we're going to toss this aside and get some watercolor paper here. So I've got like an aqua hot press by Stonehenge. Put that there. I've got a Lenox cotton. Let's see, I'm going to try to keep these in order. An aqua cold press. That's a thick one. Okay. And let's see, that's just craft paper. Yeah, why not? You want to do a craft paper? Nah, let's not. How about a warm white instead? Warm white. That does look warm. And then this is like a Stonehenge colors. These are perfect. Okay. How about that? Several different choices of watercolor paper. Okay, and I really want you guys to start thinking about when we're doing landscapes. Where'd my landscape go? Ugh. All right, little lesson about landscapes. So cooler colors are going to recede. Warmer colors are going to come forward. As things go in the background, they're going to get grayed out, and things that are in the foreground are going to be lighter and brighter. So we're going to think about those things as we're building our landscapes. Maybe I can leave a couple of these propped up somewhere. Let's see. I'll put them over here. As you guys are gathering your instruments and all of your paper and stuff. The other things that I've got before I let the dog out are these watercolor pencils. So I've got some watercolor pencils that are going to activate with water, and I've got different shades of red and orange here with me today. I think they build out really nice bases because when you put color with them, it bleeds out into the area around it. So I might as well do a little demonstration here of what I'm talking about. So 2 things. When you wet your paper and get your paper wet and then add pigment, it's going to bleed out and feather out nicely. Okay. If you just have pigment and you put it on paper, it's going to hold exactly where you started. Okay, so we're going to use these 2 things to our advantage. So whether or not we let something dry first and then put paint on top of it, it'll let the stuff underneath it stay. We use that principle over here. And all right. So the first thing, and here's not the first thing. So here's the colored pencil. And when I put it here and put water on it, see, it'll bleed and I can get it to do all kinds of things. So I love these reds and these oranges because they turn into like yellow ochres and rust colors, things that really go well into a landscape. So the first thing we're going to do is start building out our landscape. So like right here, like I did the other day with you guys, I'm just making like a triangle. I build out these little tiny shapes and let those be my guide. So like with this one right here, that's all I've done is make this line across, make a line down and over here. Let's try another one. This one I just went straight across on. This one will go long ways. So we went straight across and then maybe a diagonal long line here. Over here, let's do this one. I've got one triangle that comes down, another one, and then they kind of meet and another one comes up. So it really doesn't matter what kind of configuration you are making. You're just going to pick a horizon line, and I usually divide my paper up into thirds, and that's why I've chosen there. Here, my thirds, just as long as something is not centered all the way. I don't want to just put the line right here in the middle. That's a little boring. So I could bring it up more and put another triangle down low coming across. All right. So since I've got all that in front of me, I'm going to grab my squirrel hair number 2. Okay, squirrel hair number 2. And I usually have my spray bottle, and I'm going to spray down some watercolors. You guys, it really doesn't matter what colors you choose. However, I usually go for, this is a yellow ochre color right here. And then I've got a yellow, a sap green, an indigo, forest green, purple, and like this Indian red color. So I love starting with the yellow ochre. And the reason for this is it is a mid-tone. I'm going to put a little bit over here for you guys. If you put a gray scale next to it, it really hangs out in the middle. So this is the reason that I start with this color, and I'm just going to plop it down on these lines that we have already made in red. Okay, and what this is going to do is allow us to have our colors go either way, meaning we can add more light to this to bring it forward, or we can bring it back into the distance with darker colors or muted colors. So it's just kind of holding our horizon line for us. Okay, so like here, I'm going to hold the horizon line and I'm just tapping. This is mark making. This is not, you shouldn't really think about these things as landscapes as you're making them, because like my brain doesn't compute that this right here is a landscape at all. I'm just adhering to the principles of using some of these triangles and knowing, having faith in the process, right? Okay, so here I'm getting some more yellow ochre, and I'm just going to tap it along these lines that we made, these triangles. I can still see through it. I can still see through what I've done because I'm making sure that these marks that I'm making, and really, truly just marks, I'm just putting right at the edge. Okay, so now I'm getting more water on my brush, and I'm going to kind of wash this stuff down. Wash it down. And let it bleed. And because this is thicker watercolor paper, these different kinds of watercolor paper, the paper is staying wet for me. And the pigment is just moving around kind of on its own. All right. So we want the stuff, we can either let this dry, and this is why I like making several at one time, because they're going to dry at different rates. And I can use that to my advantage. Okay, so like this one I'm noticing is a little more dry in the horizon line. So I can come back now with maybe some of this forest green color. And I'm going to go just underneath that line that I've done. And you see how it's kind of bled into that red because it's a watercolor pencil. And so it's created this different coloration there. Okay, so I'm going to go just underneath it. Tap, 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 just making marks and calling that done. Like I'm doing this in real time, you guys. It's not that much just coming right underneath it. This one's very wet still. So I can either let this stuff dry more if I want these marks to stay like this, or because I'm adding it to wet, it's going to bleed out like this stuff did here. But you see how that's kind of becoming field-like and maybe a mountains off in the distance. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to get some more of this green, lots of water. About this one, I'm just going to tap just below the line, a little bit in this triangle here and here, a little bit there. Let that bleed. More water on my brush. I'm going to keep going with just that little bit and not reload my pigment and see what that does. Okay, on this one, tapping. So I'm kind of going in the places where I'm not, where the red line isn't, because I've gone just below it in each situation, and I'm kind of filling in the middle a little bit. Now I can always grab, if things are moving a little too much to the edges like these are, I can always come back with my rag and just blot. I'm a big fan of using a rag and blotting. Okay. This one I know you're getting reflection from that light. Maybe I'll try to put it there. Okay. All right, we got some pooling here, there. Okay, and I'm just kind of looking back over what I've done over here. This is only 2 colors plus our red watercolor pencil. And wow, isn't that already great? Haven't done that much because, you know, your brain just wants to sew stuff together. It wants it to be something. And when you use the right colors, like these mid-tones of the yellow ochre and greens, I mean, your brain automatically will go to landscape. Okay, so let's see what else. Let's get some of this blue, some of this indigo. I've switched brushes. I don't know why. I'm just going to try this one out. Loading some water into it. And I'm going to hit this front part, maybe a little bit in the sky. Okay. How about on this one? Let's do the sky. I'm just putting a little bit of pigment, moving it around, keeping some areas white. These are going to dry like clouds, different clouded areas. I can always come back here and blot if I wanted to. I could always come here and wet the sky and then come in with the different blue and kind of just let that bleed out and it'll move around some. Okay. A hybrid of both. All right. Okay, so these are pretty saturated. I'm going to choose to dry them really quick so that we can move on. Oh. Come on, baby. There we go. Okay, as I'm drying these, remember we said the cools are going to recede. The brighter colors, the warmer colors are going to come towards us. So like if we wanted to pop something reddish, orangish, yellowish, you know, down here in the greens, it would send it forward towards us. So we can add a little bit of this yellow, maybe some orange here in a minute. I've also got some purple here that we're going to put in some shadows to recede some areas. So as you're doing this, I want you to think about just mark making, like I said, using some simple colors, simple shapes. Again, these were just a bunch of triangles. I know I did it rather quickly. I'm going to do it again. I'm just going through the motions really quick on these first ones, but I'm going to tape off and do some more here in a minute. So again, if you just joined us, all we've done is done some rectangles or some, not rectangles, triangles here on our watercolor paper. Just drawn a line across on this one. I've got a line and another line to make a triangle and a rectangle. We see our lines on this one. Series of rectangles, or I don't know why I'm calling them rectangles. A series of triangles on this one for different areas. And then I've just put in our yellow ochre and our sap green. A little bit of blue in the sky. That's all I've done. I can always come back, let's see, with a brighter color. Let's go with, ooh, that's a pretty color. Okay, this one's kind of off screen a little bit. You see now it's like a turquoisey color. And that means if I put this on here, because it's turquoisey, it's bright. So it's going to make some of these trees come forward towards us, all right? And I can just let that bleed out. I'm adding some water to get it to move around. Letting it fall off the page because our brain wants to make the scene bigger than the paper. It just makes sense to our brain to do that. Okay, a little bit more. Turquoisey color, just dropping it in very lightly, getting more water on my brush. Okay, and also I've gone to a smaller brush. So as I come forward, I will drop the big fluffy guy and get this smaller number 4 round. Okay, let's add some more of this bright turquoisey guy up here. See, and this is a whole different feel on this one because of the brownish paper that we used. So remember, this is just mark making suggestions. This is all this is. This is a loose landscape to jog your memory of a place, of, you know, something that you remember, or maybe it's just, you know, you're jogging your brain trying to see what you can make. That's what I'm doing. I'm not looking at anything other than what I've already done. Okay, adding some more of that forest. See, I added forest green. Okay, so this green is a little bit darker than this green. I'm going to blot it because I actually want this to come forward more. I'm going to grab some more of that turquoise and bleed it around. One more time, getting some brighter color, popping it in just a little bit underneath the lines, letting it fall off of the page. And now getting water and washing it around. So I'm not quite connecting these areas that I just popped in because I don't want them all to bleed together and become one uniform mass. I want them to stay separate. Okay. So this looks a little funny because I want this more in the background. So this is where I'm going to grab some of this purple and just kind of pop it in there and grab more water to move it around and then blot. Okay, see how that pushed it behind this triangle? It's because we used that darker color to recess it. Now, I could always go to some like brighter color, like an opera pink. That would bring things forward towards us. So like if I had flowers up here in a field. That kind of suggests things closer to us. Maybe then it curves around here and transforms into that purple. It kind of suggests that this purple or this pink goes and then it goes back into the distance. All right, let's add some more pink. Kind of like this being a lake or something here. Let's lakeify this. I'm going to drag blue on this. See what happens and blot. And then I'm going to come back with some water. I'm just experimenting and playing. You know, we need to give ourselves permission to sometimes just see what happens. You know, I don't know what's going to happen, and that's part of the play. That's part of like making an art journal and letting yourself be relaxed, joyful, playful, alert, confident, curious, all of the things. You know, this is when we should be, you know, comfortable in our own skin to be able to experiment. So I've got this green on my brush right now. And because it's bright, it's like a sap green, I'm going to tap it in here. And look, this is going to pop this forward. This area that's closer to us. And it almost is starting to look like there's a lake down here. My brain can buy that. I'm starting to get, you know, light hitting this mountain range back here. I've got, or this hill, and then I've got trees right here, and then trees that are closer because they're catching more light with the yellow. And I'll need to brighten up, like say, what if I took some white and mixed it with my blue down here, and that would get this lake, in quotes, to come closer to us. Look at that. And I can pop some dark, like around the edge where I feel like the edge of the water is. Come back with some more white. Well, no, I'm just playing. But wow, my brain's sewing it together. I kind of like it. I can blot and whatever and come back to it and put another layer on it. Woo! Okay, that's fun. All right, let's see. What else can I do? I've kind of neglected these down here. Let's go down here. I'm going to grab some more of that sap green because it worked out so well there. Kind of picturing this, just tapping it. And I am not going to go all the way. I kind of like these stripes of colors coming down here, maybe little mountains in the background. And then I can even come back with that pink. It's kind of abrupt, but we'll let that ride and dry and see what comes of it. I can always pop a little pink here in the shoreline and up on that one also. I kind of like that. Okay, all right. All right, what next? Let's see. See, all right, this is so great. Now that I'm kind of into this, it took me a while to find my groove, but I think I've arrived. Excuse me. I really like this sap green. Popping it in. I'm doing the same thing over and over again on each one of these. And the great thing about that is, you know, you get what you repeat, right? You get what you repeat because practice, 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 and successful people do regularly what regular people do occasionally. Now let that sink in for a second. You know, I think about that all the time. You know, if I make lots and lots of these, you know, my brain, it finally gets the process and I become better and better. It's because, you know, repetition, right? So the best place to start, you know, is an art journal, is a sketchbook, is something, a place where you feel safe to create and play. I don't know why I went up with the pink on that one. That's kind of odd looking. I'm going to blot that. See, I got talking and then I just, okay. Okay. All right, so I've got some more pink. I feel the need to put pink maybe over here. All right, I'm going to let that move around and dry. Let's move to this one. Get some of the sap green again. Repetition. This here, over there, 1, 2. So there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 little hills kind of coming together on this one. Okay. I'm gonna blot because I like a lot of that darker, but the little suggestion of the lighter colors, that's looking pretty good. I can always add some pink on that one too if I want. Maybe it's coming down this hill towards us. And I like how the purple did in this one. So I'm going to grab some of this purple. Let's see. Now, all these things are coming down. I've got 2 mountain ranges coming down, another one over here. So I've got to use some shadows to say what's in front of the other, right? So I can pop in just a little bit there. And then I've got a lot of water on my brush, and I'm just going to kind of tap it to bleed it out some so it can just kind of do its thing. I'll push this mountain in the back. So I'm putting a purple overlay on this one that I'm picturing to be in the very, very back. And then I've also got just a little bit kind of smearing on the edges. So it's going to be the darkest in the middle here. I'm going to need to brighten up this front area, which I think the sap green will do that. Brighten that up. Okay, I'm going to let that dry. Okay, let's see, back over here, let's get some sap green. So now that this layer underneath it is a little more dry, I can tap this green and it's going to stay in its place, but also mix a little bit with that forest green underneath it. So look how quickly we did those. They each have their different feeling. Very quickly, all the same colors. I can always come back with one of my reds. So this is the great, this is still a little wet in here. But if I lay this on the side, I'm not going to just draw a line, but I can hit some areas just kind of along. And look how it pushed that shoreline for me. I can always come over here and hit this line in here, back behind the trees. Cute. Same thing over here. I can push some red in these shadows. Into this fold here because I want this one behind this one. So I can just put that in a shadow. Same with this, just putting some red down in that middle part. Pushing that back further. How about this one? See, I'm getting this corner back in the very distance. And then I can even put a little bit of okay. Cute, 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 cute. All right, a little bit over here. Okay, I hope that helped you guys how quickly that I put those together. So what I want to do next is go through. Wow. All right. So here's some more. This one and this one. Let's do those together, right? Just done all these little guys, all on different little watercolor papers. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with something big. You're going to have far more success doing little small ones because you're going to finish them. And they become like this cute little cards that you can then montage together later or incorporate in some other projects, or maybe even just take your art journal and maybe it's going to come, something of a card or something you can glue into your art journal and other little things that you've made, you know, around. It's so, so cute. I'm loving this. All right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. I'm going to move all this. I've actually got a piece of hot press watercolor right here. So as we do this, I want you guys to think, I've got my washi tape here. I'm just going to tape off a couple sections. Maybe I'll do 4 of them. I just want you guys to think about, you know, creative flow and giving yourself permission to make mistakes, to make marks, to make whatever. The only way you're going to learn is to just do it, right? I think I heard that sometime in the, 90s? Wasn't that? Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So again, I'm getting my red watercolor pencil, and I'm going to start making some triangles. So I'm going to bring one here. Maybe let's crisscross. Let's crisscross. How about that? I like that. And maybe this one, I'm going to divide this one into thirds. So I'll bring this across and then thirds again, and maybe just down. A little mountain cliff or something. Okay. Let's revisit these cards and see if I want to blow one of these up bigger. I think this water one worked really well. I think that one's kind of cool. So I've got a line that's coming like this, one straight across, and then that little mountain range that came up. Okay, that's that one. And which other one? Let's go. Let's go. All right, let's go up here. I'm going to go here. Maybe a triangle right there. And maybe another one that comes down right there. Those are all different. I just arbitrarily drew those. Looks pretty good. And we're just going to begin again. All right. Give yourself permission to make marks. Give yourself permission to make marks. Okay. All right. Here we go. I've got my yellow ochre. I'm going to come down on my line and just plop, 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 plop. Putting my brush right on top of those lines that I made. That's it. Getting some more paint. Plop, 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 plop. So I'm also going to vary the amount of water that I have. So this one was pretty thick. This one's a little thinner. I'm going to go ahead and come back to this one and kind of smooth it out some. This is a hot press piece of watercolor paper that I'm using for this one. Go and smooth that out. Plop, 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 plop. Okay, I did that one a little different, but that's okay. Experimenting again. Okay, here we go. Plop, plop, plop. Right on that edge. Plop, 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 plop. And now I'm going to grab water and just bring this stuff down. Remember, this color it's a neutral tint. It's somewhere in the middle of that grayscale. And that's why it's so great. It can go in the foreground. It can go in the background. It can do lots of things for us. I'm just kind of, making little variations in this top line just because I want to. Okay. Now we're going to go for this green, the darker green, and we're going to come in just underneath where we put our lines, just underneath it. So I can see the red line, and I've got plenty of color of that yellow ochre around it. Okay. I'm going to smooth this out because it's getting a little chunky monkey. Might even blot this. Okay, one more time. Plop, plop, plop. Okay, now on this one, I think I'm going to put water here and water here. Let's put some blue and blue. Lots of water on the brush, and I'm just going to kind of hit the sky just a little bit here and there, and then come back and wash it with some water. Not covering up all the white at all. And blot. Okay, so this is really, really wet now, so I'm going to go ahead and dry it. So when we're doing all these mark making things and really sitting with ourselves and playing with color, it's actually doing a lot for the language portion of our brain. You know, trauma can make our language portion of our brain turn off, but art and mark making can help it turn back on. So that's why an art journal can be really important and can become such a healing tool for us. As I make these, I'm reminded of like trips that I've had out west with my dear husband, and us driving these long stretches of roads with these rolling hillsides, and the memories it brings back for me is so great. I just love it so much. So this is very meditative for me, even though, you know, somebody else might look at this and not see what I see, but that's not the point. I'm doing it for myself and to remember different feelings and remember places and colors that I saw. All right, so now I'm going to get some purple. I'm going to water this way down. And I'm just going to come in here like in this background one, the backmost of that mountain range. I'm going to come in here in this cross area and hit this. Grab water and maybe bleed it out some. Again, this is watercolor paper, so it can really handle this amount of water that I'm putting on it. That's going to recess nicely. Awesome. Just trusting the process. So like this one is behind all this. So I'm going to come in with the purple, hit that corner. And then I want this to be recessed down here if this is adjacent to water. All right. Smooth this out. Smooth this one out. Okay. Moving on. The purple will be down here at the horizon line, kind of flowing into the water. I'm going to bleed that out. And let's see, I've got it on all of them. All right, let's go for this like brighter turquoisey green color that we put in for the water last time. I'm going to come here with it to bring this forward. Yeah. Ooh, that brightened that up. Okay. All right. I know we're working fast, but hey, I'm just kind of playing, right? And I want you also. So I've got this bright green. I'm just going to dot portions of this hillside. I want it to be like the sun is hitting these trees back here. I'm going to bring it down into the water area some because it's going to mute, and it's also going to look like a reflection down into the water. Awesome. All right. Right. Now let's see. Oh yeah, this sap green. Sap green. Okay, we're going to come here, put this here, tap, tap, tap in this middle layer. Tap here and around. Bring all this forward. You see how that all just came forward? Okay. And then here, I call this bright. This. Hitting some of these areas where we've got not so much pigment on the paper, so that really comes forward towards us. Wow, it looks like the light's coming down this way on this one. It's coming this way on that one. Shining down on this one. This one looks a little gray. Okay, I'm going to darken up this corner because what that's going to do is lighten up the rest of it. It's going to push your eye towards these other areas. Little trick. If the whole thing looked muted, look at that. It just shifted everything that way, right? Okay. So I'm noticing on this one, it could be darker in here. I'm going to grab some more purple and just kind of layer in just a little bit around right there. And maybe bleed that down into the water. All right. All right, I'm going to let that dry. Let's get out my heat gun. So as these are drying, I'm just looking around, noticing that I don't know that there's too much more that I want to do to these other than the red watercolor pencil. I think that's what's really going to make these pop. I'm going to remove the washi tape here in a second so we can get a look at these beautiful landscapes. Okay. All right, here we go. I'll pull this off. This is another reason I really like washi tape. It's so satisfying, and look how cute those are. Oh my goodness. So now I'm going to grab my dark red. Let's see. I might use this orangey red. See what happens. So I'm just going to kind of lay it on its side and go back and forth a little bit. That's kind of throws a little shadow. I'm going to use this darker one over here. So I'm going to go around this body of water, coming down, reflection, kind of tucks it in that hill right in there too, bringing that red down to there. How about this one? This one's going to pop with the red. Yeah. All right. So right here, I'm going to hit this, bring it down. And just that little bit of red really adds that little bit of life into these. Okay, so that's how it is. That's my loose watercolor landscapes demonstrating live for you, so you see how quick and easy this is. See how forgiving it is. Let yourself experiment. Use just a few colors and, just make several of these. Make them small like we did to begin with so that they're actually obtainable and you're not like fussing with a big area or sweating over it too much. You can make these little thumbnail guys like I did there. And here's all our little ones. that we made here with that little pops of pink for flowers. Y'all, I've enjoyed this. It was a little bit of a hot mess, but wow, we got there, didn't we? Anyway, this is Jules. This is my art bender. This is my stream of consciousness. Give yourself permission to play, find your creative flow, and start making loose landscapes. And cheers. I will see you guys next time.